Hello, I'm Lisa de Croix, and this is Tarot Visual Journaling Workshop about relationships. So in this workshop, I'm going to help you work with a relationship in your life that maybe needs a little clarity, or maybe even just a little boost, or some attention. So I'd like you, first of all, to kind of get clear about who it is that you want to work with in this workshop. It could be a beloved, a partner, a husband or wife. It could be a sibling or another member of your family, a friend, even a pet, and possibly even a part of yourself that you feel like you really want to reconnect with. So once you've decided who this other is, this other beloved, I'd like you to pull from your tarot deck the court cards and the cups. So there are 16 court cards, and they're usually called the page, the knight, the queen, and king. Some decks have different names for these, so you can refer to the little white book or the instructions that come with the deck and see how they correlate to those cards. And then also the different suits may have different names, but traditionally they would be the cups, pentacles, swords, and wands. So you would find the page of swords, the page of cups, the page of wands, the page of pentacles, and make a pile of those. And then I'd like you to go through the deck and also pull out the 10 remaining cup cards, or whatever relates to cups. The cups in tarot usually are the emotions, so it's the heart. So sometimes there could be a different name, but it will usually be about feelings or emotions. So once you've got your cards separated, we're going to do a very simple spread, asking some questions of the cup cards and then using the court cards to kind of describe ourselves and our beloved. So when you look through your court cards, if you are a beginner and you don't really know the meaning of the cards, it doesn't matter, you can still work with them. I'd like you to just look through the deck and find a card, one of the court cards that you have some energy with, that just sort of pops out to you. It could be a physical similarity, it could be an energy, it could be just merely liking the way the card looks. So once you've selected a card for yourself, I'd like you to just put it aside. I'm going to select the Queen of Wands for myself. And then I'd like you to look through the deck again and pull a card for your beloved or the other person that you're working with in a relationship. I'm going to use the Knight of Pentacles for my beloved. We put those aside and we'll come back to them a little later on. Then holding your cup cards in your hand, I'd like you to just shuffle them and listen to the questions that I ask. You can pause this and come back once you've got your cards, or you can just watch this whole video and then use the instructions to do this exercise. So shuffle the cup cards. We're going to be pulling two cards. One card is going to be, I call it the heart of the matter. So it's the heart of the matter. And it's really putting your finger on the pulse of the relationship. So this is what needs to have some attention paid to it. So I'm pulling a card and I got the Four of Cups. So I'm going to place it down, maybe on the same side as yourself, the court card that represents yourself. Then I'd like you to once again just kind of shuffle it and listen to this question. It is what needs to be done, what action needs to be taken in order to see some expansion, some growth in the relationship. Or if you're having a particular problem, this could be, maybe instructions on how to resolve the problem. So it's more of a doing card. So I pulled a card and I'm going to put it down there. 5 of Cups. So I'm going to put my cards separately, and I'm going to kind of show you some art techniques that you can use. I just want to say something though. I'm going to show a variety of things because I don't want you to just do it in one particular way, feel like you have to copy what I'm doing exactly, although you of course are welcome to do that. I want you to just sort of feel like you can play, and now you have some tools to play with and you have some ideas, but however you create your pages is very personal, and I'd like you to just feel kind of really present in the moment. Let your thinking mind go, just play with the different elements that I'm going to introduce. So the way I did it, and you can do this too, is that I'm going to use 6 pages in my journal. So this is actually the back of my last workshop, so I just keep working on either side. I don't just work on the one on the right side as a lot of people do, and I really recommend that for this exercise. So there's that page, and then there's another free page, another free page, and then another side. If you're doing it on just loose pieces of paper, 4 pieces of paper will be enough. So the first thing I'd like you to do is to draw half a heart. And it's pretty easy to do. Just come down maybe about 1/5 of the page, put your pencil there, and then just make a big swooping motion round. And end, about the same distance, maybe about 1/5 of the page up. So just make a nice big swoop with the pencil. If you feel like it's not smooth enough, you can erase it and kind of get it the way you want. Then once you've got that half a heart drawn, you can put a piece of cardboard behind it, or if you have a cutting board, something like this, you can use that as well. Put it behind the page that you drew the heart with, and this is it's a craft knife. It's called an X-Acto knife. You can use another type of knife. You can even use a pair of scissors if you don't have. And what I do is I usually stand up so I can really put some pressure on it, and I will just follow that line. And you don't have to be exact because you can erase this line later on. It's more of a guide to what you're doing. And actually, the more smooth and flowing you can go, the better it'll come out. So I've cut all the way through. You see there's the heart. Then I'm going to pull this paper up, and I'm going to discard it. And then using that side of the heart as a template, you can actually draw around the edge of it, and this will make a nice big symmetrical heart. Once again, put your cutting board behind, and you can cut out that side. So that is where we're going to put our court card. You can use the actual cards if you want, or a photocopy of a card, or another idea is to find a photograph of the beloved or the other person, and you can glue that on. Just make sure to write the name, like Page of Pentacles, or whatever the court card is that you chose for them and for yourself. So we will be doing that on the inside of both hearts. And then on the back side, we're going to be working with the cup cards that you've pulled. So you can, on the back of the card, back of the heart, you can glue down the card or do some kind of representation of it. On the following page, I'd like you to create some kind of watery effect. And I'm going to show you a few quick techniques that you can use, but you really can do anything. So I'm using a very inexpensive brand of watercolor. They're Croix watercolors. You can actually buy them in the grocery store, but they have quite nice vivid colors. I have a jar of water, and this is the brush that came in it. So I'm mixing up 2 blues, 1 blue. What I'm doing is I've wet the brush, I'm swirling it around, and then I'm adding quite a bit of water. And you want to keep doing this until you get kind of a nice pan full of color. If you have watercolors in tubes, that's quite a lot easier. You just squeeze a little bit out. I'm adding a little green because I want the 2 blues to be quite different from each other. So there I have, quite a bit of blue, but I'll probably have to make some more, and it doesn't matter. You don't have to keep the colors consistent. So this is a round brush. Let's see if you can see the tip. And if you have a bigger one, that could work, or any size, but you don't really want to be smaller than this. So what you're going to do is put your tip of your brush on the page, and then you push down, and then you kind of lift the brush up so it goes back to the tip. And then once again you bear down, sort of splaying the bristles. Then you come back up onto the tip and then splay it again, back up to the tip and splaying it again. So you have kind of a wave motion like that. And then I'm going to mix a different color, so I rinse out my brush. And this time I'm going to take the blue and I'm going to mix it with a purple. This set just has 2, 4, 6, 8, just has 8 colors, so it's very, very basic. But you usually would have a blue and a purple in these kinds of sets. So I've made kind of a dark blue color, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to bear down and lift up. You might not do this exactly the same. You might want to do the bearing down opposite the tip point there. But it doesn't really matter. If you run out of paint before the end, it doesn't matter. You can come back and get a little bit more paint and just continue. So here's a completed page, and I just wanted to point out the thinner parts here, and let's see where else, maybe there. That's when the brush is just on its tip, and then the thicker parts are when you bear down and let the bristles spray out. So you can do that on the 2 pages opposite the hearts, or on 2 separate pieces of paper. And then I want to show you another technique that you can use if you don't want to use the watercolor technique. Or you could do 2 different techniques on each side. So what I've done is I've collected some tissue paper that I had around the house already from gifts. I have a cerulean blue, a turquoise green, and a kind of a midnight blue. If you don't have tissue paper at home, you can go and buy a very inexpensive packet of a variety of colors. So once you have your tissue paper, you can tear it into maybe 1/2 inch strips, very easy to tear, and you just create a little pile of them, and then you lay them out how you want to glue it down. You can leave a little bit of white space between them. You can also overlap the tissue paper, which kind of gives it a really nice effect. So I'm going to take a glue stick and just do a stripe, and then I'm layering down with the tissue paper and smoothing it out with my finger. And you can trim it at the end once everything's glued. And if you don't go all the way to the edge, as you can see here, you can just add a little piece or try another color. And that's kind of the fun thing about tissue paper, is that it kind of creates almost like a stained glass effect because of the transparency of the paper. You can see the different colors underneath. So have some fun doing that if you want. You know, there are other things you can do if you don't want to do the tissue paper or the watercolor. You can find a picture of water. You can, if you have pastels, you can use those. So just create two bodies of water on either side of your heart. And here you can see the finished piece, and you can see kind of how you get those overlaying transparencies. Once you've completed that, you can paint your heart. I am just using this inexpensive craft paint that you can buy at hobby stores or art supply stores. I just dip my brush right into the little pot. I put a piece of cardboard behind the one side of the heart. Another thing you can use is wax paper. And then I just am simply painting that entire heart red. And I'm going to do it on all four sides. And again, you can use the wax paper in between the wet. You know, let it dry a little bit and then use it so the paint doesn't stick together. And if you're doing it in a spiral bound book such as I am, you can carefully go all the way to the edge if you want. I like that, especially in the middle where it kind of continues to the other side of the heart. So once you've painted your hearts, you can glue on your tarot cards or photographs of you and your beloved. And I'll just show you how I've arranged my pages. Again, you can do it any way. There's no right or wrong way. I printed out the 4 cards that I picked on a photocopy machine. So you can do that. If you can do it at home, you can scan them or take a photograph and print them out, or you can take them to a copy shop and lay them out on a Xerox machine and take a photograph and then cut them out and glue them onto your hearts. So what I've done here, I've also printed out the questions, and I have that in the questions in the PDF that you can print out if you want. So here it says, what does my beloved bring to the relationship? And I glued on the Knight of Pentacles, and then I just wrote freehand what my beloved brings. On the opposite page, I have what do I bring to the relationship? And here is the Queen of Wands, and I wrote what I bring to the relationship. And then on this side, I've glued on what is the heart of the matter. And I had the 4 of Cups, which was a sort of surprise to me. But as I wrote, I understood exactly why that card had come up. And so I kind of wrote between the lines. You can see here, I used capital letters, just stretching them, and I just kind of write stream of consciousness, and somehow it always works out. It's the same way as pulling tarot cards. It's always perfect. So I just wrote stream of consciousness, what the heart of the matter was, according to this card that I pulled. And then on the opposite side, I glued on what action shall we take? And I had the 5 of Cups, and again, that was sort of a surprise to me, not an easy card, but somehow it really made sense. And I kind of wrote very brief little phrases, and I kind of wrote them again in between the glued on tissue paper. There's different ways you can do it. If you have a lot more to say, you could, you know, put a piece of paper on here and write on that. You could put a card, something that opens up. You know, you really are free to do it any way you want. But you can see here just kind of, you know, how you can flip through this, and it's very dimensional. And hopefully this will give you a new insight into your relationship and some kind of action that you can do to help improve it. So I hope you've enjoyed this workshop, and I look forward to doing more with you. Thank you.